Hey guys, welcome to video number 2 about getting your license in Victoria. This one's all about the motorcycle check ride. So I'll start off this video with the motorcycle check ride record sheet that I received at Heart. And so what you can see here is that there's two sections, the range activities and the on-road activities. So you can pause the video here and you can look through each of them. And essentially the range activities is just like your license test. So very similar things, going through curves, emergency stopping, slow ride, that sort of stuff. You can see the previous video and I go through that in detail. As far as the on-road activities go, you can see the categories that they're looking for there: observation, your speed, your progression, that's like, keeping up with traffic. Lateral position means being in the correct position in the lane. Your distance behind the car in front. Controls are like your indicators and lights, and any road rules, so giving way at roundabouts and stuff like that. You'll see the one comment that I got there is turning tight in, tight out, road rules, question mark. So in that case, I'll show you on the check ride where that occurred. It was on a corner where my rear tyre clipped a line, and so what I should have really done there is the start wide, end tight, not the way that I did it, which was wrong. So that was the feedback that I got. Yeah, so in the next part of the video I'll just take you on the check ride that I did and just have a bit of a chat and show you how it went. Okay, see you on the check ride.
G'day guys, so welcome to Heart in Kilsyth. This is, believe it or not, the fourth attempt at recording this, so hopefully the audio is okay. It's a little bit windy today, but hopefully it all goes okay. So yeah, first thing we do, mount the Motoblock, having a look over our shoulder, leg over, kickstand up, extra step you don't need to worry about. Taking a look over our shoulder, and away we go. So what we're going to do today is the exact route that I took when I did my check ride. So let's wait for this truck to go past. So obviously on your check ride, depending on where you're doing it, it's going to be slightly different. If you do it at Heart in Kilsyth, this is one of the routes that you might take. There are several others. We might just duck in after this car, I think. So of course, full disclosure, I'm just some guy on the internet. Take my advice as you will. I'm certainly not a trained instructor by any means. If anything, I'm a novice just like yourself. But what I'll do is I'll take you through the exact route that I did, any tips that I can give you, any advice that I can give you as a new rider. I'm sure there's plenty of much more experienced riders. Maybe in the comments you could correct me or give some other pearls of wisdom. So slowing down, going through the roundabout. I won't baby you through, every single thing that I'm thinking while I'm riding, but you'll start off the day of the check ride essentially going through the exact same thing that you did last time. You'll get on the track, the off-road test. You'll essentially do your test again. They'll assess how you're going. It's not like a pass or fail thing. They're just gonna, see how you're doing with your cornering, with your braking, your slow maneuvers, that sort of stuff. So our first turn here is a right turn. Looking in your mirrors before you decelerate, that's one of the things they would like you to do. So we're making a right turn here onto Mount Dandenong Road. If you're doing the check ride, what you'll find is that there's going to be about 4 or 5 of you, just like on your initial test day. And what you're going to do is you're going to be riding together. There'll be somebody in the front with the instructor behind, and then anybody else will be just sort of following the instructor behind. So when it's your turn to be assessed, you'll be at the front. The instructor will be following behind you and just sort of taking mental notes. And so what they're going to do is break up this check ride into several legs, I'm going to call them, and each person does a leg of the trip. So right now we're on the first leg, so to speak. So today is a Thursday. My clock is a little bit behind. We're actually an hour in front now, so it's 9:56 a.m. This is sort of the level of traffic that you can expect, the kind of drivers that you can expect around Kilsyth when you do your check rides. So if you've been practicing by yourself, at night in a car park the entire time, I would encourage you to get out during the day and just gets a little bit of experience with riding in traffic, because when you do your check ride, it will be pretty much like this. There will be traffic, there'll be people going about their day. Some people will be in a rush. You know how it is. So you want to have a bit of experience and not get too frazzled. I was certainly nervous when I did the check ride. I think everybody was. Oh, except for maybe one or two who were, very good riders and been riding dirt bikes forever. But essentially, once you've got your license, this check ride is not necessarily to take your, license off you. It's really just to assess, give you some tips. We're going to make a right-hand turn here onto Liverpool Road. Looking in our mirror and we decelerate. So here's the first tip of the day. These little squares you want to stop, I find, right in the center, pretty much, is the best chance of having success of changing the lights. If you sit at the front there where you normally would in a car, or if you sit on the side, you'll find that typically they won't change reliably, the lights that is. So when you're sitting at the lights here, another tidbit, keep an eye on your rear vision mirror, because I have had an instance where a car looked like they just were not going to stop and I had to get out of the way. So that's something to keep in mind. People distracted, they don't necessarily see you. Just keeping an eye on your mirror is not a bad idea. Like, see the silver car coming up behind us now. You just want to make sure that they're decelerating and then you're okay. If they're not decelerating, you want to start thinking about getting out of the way. Which brings me to another point, their ready position that they're always talking about. Here we are, green light. So the ready position is actually very useful. Once you get used to it, you couldn't really imagine stopping at the lights any other way, unless it's sort of a train going past you that's going to take a significant amount of time. If you're sitting there with your foot on the rear brake, clutch pulled in first gear, and you're ready to go at any moment, whatever happens, you can always sort of just immediately get out of the way, which is really useful. So I think the ready position is one of the best things that they taught at the course, actually. And the other thing that you'll find, I won't necessarily say that I'm doing, but I'll say it now, this buffering away, you see how you move to the left away from oncoming traffic, and it also works on the other side. If there's some traffic coming in from my left-hand side, I'll buffer away from that. So you want to always be buffering to the safest position for you. Like, here's a good example, you're not sure if the door's going to open, so somewhere in the middle makes sense. So that's also what they're looking for during the check ride, is your buffering. And obviously your head checks, all that good stuff. It doesn't always make sense to buffer. Sometimes it makes sense not to buffer. And during your assessment of your license, so indicating slowing down, during your license assessment, you'll be given a chance, if you did not do something exactly textbook, you'll have a chance to explain to the instructor, or to sort of give some context why you decided not to do it exactly as the book tells you to. And that's okay, that's alright. So we're just going to pull over here. So this is the end of the first leg, what we've just done. So if you were the first in line, so we'll come to a stop. Put it in neutral so it doesn't run away from us. So if you were the first person in the line, this is where your leg would end. You guys are just going to park up over here somewhere. And then the instructor will give instructions to the next person. He'll have some nice maps for you, laminated bits of paper, and he'll say, okay, person X, you're now on the second leg, you're going to go from here to here. you're going to make a left turn here, right turn there, blah, blah, blah. And he'll tell you exactly where to go. And if you get confused, if you get lost, all he's going to tell you, or she's going to tell you, is just pull over and he'll come back and get you. And same if you're at the back. If you get separated from the group, don't stress. You know, he'll come back to get you. So I'll get out of here. This Amber was probably wondering why the hell I'm sitting around talking to myself. This one's a little bit funny. I'm not actually sure which way. People in the comments can comment below. The indicating getting out of this car park is a little bit funny. You have to go left, right, left, right. Anyway. So, left-hand turn back onto Liverpool Road and stopping in the centre of this little square so that they don't get stuck. Green light. And the other thing that they're looking for is, you know, just your general road manners, obeying road laws, you know, not speeding, not having an accident, not dropping the motorcycle, keeping your feet up, you know, that sort of stuff. So next we're going to make a left-hand turn onto Canterbury Road. Now this is a pretty massive road for those who know the area, so it can be a little bit scary for new riders. But not too bad. So this is an 80-kilometre road. So the next part of the leg that we're doing now, we're going to go up there towards Mount Dandenong. Very nice. If you guys end up coming out this way to do your test, it's a beautiful spot. Nice roads up there. So again, I kind of had a bit of an advantage because I grew up in this area. So if you're new to the area, you might want to do a little bit of research around the roads in this part of town. At least just these big ones, at least, you know, like Liverpool Road, Canterbury Road, you know, these really big roads, because these are the ones that you're going to be using when you do your check ride. And if the maps are not terribly confusing when the instructor shows it to you, you know, that's only going to be an advantage to make it a little bit easier during your check ride. But honestly, the check ride is a bit of a stress-free test, to be honest. It's, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you're really just hanging out, riding with a few people. It's actually quite a nice day. I enjoyed my check ride. Not to say that I was perfect. I did make a mistake, which I'll show you what happened to me personally. Slow down a bit, let this car get across. So we're heading up the hill. I'm in the right lane now because I know that we're going to be making a right turn. So it doesn't hurt to get into the correct position. That's a good tip. For those who are new to driving and riding, you want to get into your lane as soon as you can. For those veteran license holders, you'll know what I'm talking about. You want to get into your lane early, particularly on a motorbike. You don't want to be frazzled and moving around at the last second. You want to get into your lane as soon as you know you can and it's safe to do so. So this stretch of road is also a notoriously dangerous stretch of road. There was someone who was killed not long ago here, right at this intersection. So when you come through here, I actually buffer away from right there. Cars pull out all the time. This roundabout is also a bit of a strange one. Not as strange as the roundabout in Motoblock. You might do that on your license assessment. I might do that as a separate video. You could almost do an entire video on that roundabout. It's just hilarious. For those who are not from this area, I might show you that in the next video. But it's pretty much just a standard roundabout. It's just a little bit big and unusual. So coming around here, you want to be careful. Go nice and slow here. Cars come flying through there, so you want to make sure you give them lots of eye contact so that they know that you're coming. Stopping right in the middle of the square. Green light. So here's one thing that I got pinged on my test. You see this here, we're converging lanes. In a car, I would typically not even bother indicating, and it's probably just because I'm getting a little bit old and lazy. But on your license test, they really want to see you indicate when you're converging or diverging. So in that case, when you're converging, you want to indicate exactly your intentions. So that's a little tip. I got I got pinged for that in the test. So here I'm buffering right in the center, try to give myself room from both cars. So this is a little bit of a strange intersection. We just passed a car park. That's where you would have stopped for the end of the second leg. I think we're in the second or third leg now. So this is the leg that I personally did. So this is my leg in the group, so to speak. Now you come up here, and we're going to make a right-hand turn here. Quite a tricky one for new riders. And that corner just there is where I got pinged for another issue, which is that my rear tyre touched the line in the center of the road. So what he was saying when we pulled over, he said, you know, you rode well, except for that one time when your rear wheel crossed the line, and that's, you know, obviously bad, because if there was a car there, I could have potentially clipped the car. And I think if the car was there, I probably would have given it a little bit more space, but I think it just came down to nerves, and, you know, I hadn't had a huge amount of riding experience back then, but that has actually stuck with me. So, yeah. It's actually quite useful information. I found the check ride as a whole quite a useful experience. So this is a beautiful road. You want to be very careful with your speed along here. It is 50, as that sign says, yeah. So in the olden days, I'm pretty sure this road was a little bit faster. And for those in the comments below who've lived around this area for a while, they'll probably tell you that. I think it was, yeah, 60 or 70 k's along here, and these speed bumps never used to be here either. So, yeah, they're really trying to slow people down. But it is a nice road. So I believe this road is called Glasgow Road, from memory. Yeah, it's a nice little road. So if you're on this leg of the trip, you want to just be careful of your speed. I think the rule of thumb is that they don't want you to be exceeding the speed limit or, you know, going too slow for something like 10 seconds or something like that. They do give you a bit of a, you know, a bit of a buffer, but you don't want to be up there or, you know, too high or too slow, of course. It's quite a narrow road as well. So here buffering is fairly useful, of course. So that big truck there, barely enough room for us to, you know, be completely side by side. Speed drops down to 40 here. So this is a school zone. And it's now a permanent 40. I think also this used to be, you know, 40 only during school times, but they've decided to make it 40 all the time. So that's something to keep in mind if you're on this leg of the journey. You want to be careful of your speed, because otherwise you'll be doing 10 k's over. And it's not like you're going to get a ticket. He won't give you a ticket. But you know, police certainly will. I know that they do enjoy sitting on this road. Maybe not so much anymore now that they've got the speed humps. Maybe that's actually succeeded in slowing down people. I don't know. Yeah, it's a beautiful road. Nice and smooth. They've recently resurfaced it. And so what you're seeing now is my typical sort of riding style. I'm not necessarily riding any differently to what I normally would. That might be disappointing to some. But, you know, I just ride this thing for transport. I'm not necessarily trying to break any speed records or anything like that. I'm a pretty conservative rider. Your mileage may vary. So back up to 70k here. Buffering away from this car. Fun story on this road, so we're riding along here, and of course, you know, doing 70, and there was a bloke behind me who decided that he didn't like doing the speed limit here, and he tried overtaking on this, just coming up to this corner here, and then a car came round the other way, and that was sort of a brown pants moment, and lucky for me I had, you know, distance, so I slowed right down and he was able to cut in. But yeah, he probably, shat himself coming around that corner. He was probably doing about 100, and then a car came around the corner, so that was pretty funny. He probably didn't think it was too funny, but I certainly did. So yeah, once you get into the habit of using those, you know, the lessons that you learned in the test, the buffering, the ready position, lane position, it all kind of makes sense, because at the end of the day, you know, you don't want to hit an oncoming car, you don't want to hit a tree, you don't want to get hit by a car that's pulling out of a driveway who just didn't see you. It does make sense to use all the space that you have and just get away from people, more or less, yeah. And to be honest, I actually find riding the motorcycle a little bit more liberating than driving a car now, because you have so much, you know, so much more room. You can just move exactly where you want to move. So same here, these little squares, right in the center. If you do get stuck, and say if you get stuck at a light that just won't change, if there are other cars around, I would say actually just move up a little bit and then let the car behind you sit on the sensor, and then it'll certainly change. That's the other little tip. So this is a 70 kilometers per hour here. So we're back onto Liverpool Road now. And we're coming up to the end of this leg. And this one was a little bit tricky. This was the end of my leg. There's a new estate up here on the left-hand side. And what we did is we pulled up over there. That's where so at the end of each leg, you sort of pull up and have a chat. So we pulled up right up there. And it's a little bit tricky because it was quite steep. And it's a skinny little road. So accelerating up to 80. They do teach you, hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad, they do teach you a nice little technique about stopping on the side of the road, where they put you on a 45-degree angle, and that's quite useful, particularly over there. But if you're, say, like a shorter rider, even if the instructor says, you know, stop here, if you don't think it's safe to stop there for yourself, like if you think that you would drop the motorcycle if you stopped exactly where he told you, just move, you know, a little bit further up where you think it's safe. Because at the end of the day, he or she doesn't want you to drop your motorbike. He would rather you stop safely. So I had the same thing with the license test, where he said to stop. There was a parked car and it was a little busy, someone was reversing. I thought, yeah, this just isn't a very good spot to stop here. So I just moved up about 100 meters, and he didn't care, you know, it's all good. As long as you're stopping safely, doesn't matter. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what motorcycling is all about. You just gotta be sensible, understand that there are, you know, pretty serious consequences for coming off a motorcycle. Like, what's this guy doing? Yeah, that's where buffering is very useful. Not sure why she would try and overtake there, but okay. Decelerating down to 60. So we're now on the next leg of the trip. So this leg of the trip will take you up into Baronia. And this is not a bad video to watch, because you'll get an understanding of what the Czech ride, you know, the full duration is. And it's actually a little bit longer than this, because you'll be stopping. Each time you stop in the car park, you'll have a bit of a chat, and you'll say, you know, how did you go? What did you guys think? What did you learn? What went wrong? Blah, blah, blah. So this is actually a fairly realistic, well, it is realistic, how long you'll be riding. That's a little tip, well, not necessarily a tip. I think you'll find once you start riding, or if you've already got your license and you're practicing, if you've had a car license before, you'll realize how much detail you can really pay attention to. On a motorcycle, I found that I'm actually a much more, actively active rider, active driver rather. So looking at oncoming traffic, trying to figure out what people are thinking when they're driving. Yeah, there's a lot of detail to watch just to keep yourself safe, and I think that just naturally happens. So that's, oh, there they are. Do you see those bike riders over there? They're on their check ride right now. So that's the stop. How funny. So there you go. That's the end of that leg. Not sure if you guys saw that on the camera. About 4 or 5 motorcycles there. You can tell it's them because they're all wearing the high vis and they've got the red Honda 125s. So good luck those people. So what those guys are going to do is they're going to come up here, they're going to make a right turn onto this road here. This will connect back up to, no, which road is it? It's the road which Hart is on. The name escapes me now, but yeah. Doesn't hurt to, when you pass roads, it doesn't hurt to have a little peek, just in case there's a car coming out a little bit quicker than you expect. That saved me a few times. So already, I would say that I've had about the same number of near misses on a motorcycle compared to a car. I don't think I've had, a higher number of near misses, those sort of, people don't see you whatsoever type scenarios. I'd say it's about the same in the car and the motorcycle for myself anyway. It could just be the way that I ride, maybe. I was expecting a few more near misses, but so far it's been pretty good. I've only had maybe 1 or 2, fairly dodgy. Definitely the case that I was on a motorcycle. If I was in a car, it wouldn't have happened type deals. But for the most part, it's been pretty good. And for those who are on the fence about riding a motorcycle, I'd say it's definitely worth considering. If you're a little bit older in particular, if you've been around the block a fair few times and you've been driving rather for a while, just want to do something different. I've always driven, cars my entire life. I've been a car lover my whole life, but I've really been missing out. I think this motorcycle thing is excellent. I would highly recommend it. I recommend it to just about anybody that I meet who's vaguely interested in getting their motorcycle license. If you're a younger person, say if you're 17, 18, yeah, I would say just be careful. Like you'd have to have you would certainly have to be more mature than what I was at 18. That's for sure. I don't think I would trust 18-year-old me with a motorcycle. You're just in a different frame of mind back then. But if you're the sort of person who's mature enough to respect the machine, and it'll respect you. So if you do all your maintenance and you're just a conscientious driver, then I think you'll be totally fine. You could totally ride this, and there's nothing wrong with that either. And if anything, it's actually better, to be honest. I've spent a huge amount of money and time and resources on cars when I think I could have bought myself a brand new motorcycle when I was much younger for a lot less money and had sort of trouble-free driving experience. The only downside, of course, is that you can't carry, all your mates on your motorcycle and you can't carry all your gear. But motorcycles in general, yeah, it's excellent. It's really, really great transportation. So you can see they're buffering away from that dude. Even the fact that you're just moving around, I think is I wouldn't say a deterrent, but at least it makes you more visible. There's a really good video by Ryan F9 in Canada. He makes really good videos. I might put that in the description below about how you can make yourself appear more visible, or just like, how car drivers actually see us as motorcyclists. It's quite interesting. Yeah, I'll put it down in the description. So we're coming up now to the end of the check ride, actually. So we're going to be coming back into Hart, and that's the end of the check ride. So of course I've been sitting here in the ready position this entire time, which makes it super convenient. Car wants to get in front, I'll let them go. At the end of the day, the car will win. So it's probably easier just to give way to them. If you clip a car, you'll definitely come off second best, so yeah, don't worry about it. If anything, I ride for pure enjoyment, really. So if you're in a rush, I wouldn't recommend taking the motorcycle. Because if you're rushing or you're flustered or whatever, you could end up making a mistake. And like a mistake in a car is, you know, a small mistake in a car probably isn't going to kill you, but a small mistake on a motorcycle could, you know, it could do some pretty serious damage. So yeah, if you're going to go for a ride, try and be in the right headspace. It's almost a bit like meditation in a way, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's quite relaxing. It's a really good experience, yeah. So if you're thinking about picking up a bike, yeah, I'd highly recommend doing it. And so here we are back at Hart. That's it. Check ride done. So you'd be pulling into there, you'd be going down the bottom there in the car park, and that's the check ride finished. So if you made it to the end of the video, thanks very much for watching. Sorry it's taken so long to get this video out. I've had a few cracks at making it, and I'm hoping this one succeeds. Hopefully the audio isn't complete garbage. I've done everything I can to try and make it nice for you guys. So good luck with your check ride and your test. And also at the time of writing, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.